Welcome to the Root of Power podcast, where I teach you how to chase your joy, find alignment, and create a life and a business that you love, using actionable methods, interviews, and inspiring stories from people who know that true freedom is found within. I'm your host, your always hype woman and sometimes ass kicker, Amanda Chills, and I am so proud of you for choosing to step into your power. Come along, we've got dreams to build. Okay, podcast family, welcome back to this week's episode where I have got such a hurricane of a woman for you, and I am so stoked. She is so no bullshit energy, do your thing, but also will give you a little, she'll hold your hand, but also kick your ass at the same time. It's actually quite a talent. So welcome Rachel, who is a wellness business coach, who is just y'all are going to see. She's just fabulous. So hello.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked to have you on. I want everyone listening to get ready because their brains are about to get so much stuff in it. And they're going to walk away being like, what the hell was that? It was so great.
Yes.
So tell us about you, because all they know is the introduction and they that wasn't enough.
Best introduction ever.
Thanks.
Yeah. So me, I'm a mom. I always like to say that because I kind of see that as my first job always. I'm a mom to two teenagers. I have a 14-year-old, almost 17-year-old. And I'm also a stepmom. So I'm a stepmom to triplets who are 17. So yes, whenever people hear our story, we're like the Brady Bunch. We have 5 kids between the ages of 14 and 17. So it's pretty wild ride.
Yeah.
And then I'm a business coach for wellness-based entrepreneurs. I got started in the wellness realm over 25 years ago. So like Amanda, I started as a licensed therapist. That's my degree. Feels like forever ago. Feels like a lifetime ago. It was a lifetime ago. Had many lives since then. And I left the therapeutic world, and I actually was taking a break for a little while and decided I needed a break from it, and actually became a personal trainer. And I started a personal training business. Did that for about 8 years. Did pretty well with it. Kind of when I look back now, my business was a little bit of a mess, but it was financially good. But the back end was a mess.
To start,
yeah, I learned a lot.
Start when it's perfect. You waited way too long.
Oh, absolutely, 100% agree. Start way before you're ready, 100%. And then I ended up moving with my ex-husband to Atlanta. I was like, don't want to do that anymore. Loved yoga, so I am the person who just has an idea and just does it. I don't think too much, otherwise nothing would ever get done. So I opened a yoga studio because why not, right? Brick and mortar. And I did that for almost a decade. I ended up owning 3 studios, sold it a couple years ago, and decided I just wanted to help other entrepreneurs. Not specifically in the beginning wellness, but I realized that is kind of my niche. Get up running. It started with just kind of moms who had a passion, because that's kind of how I saw myself. And over the years, it's become really more so a lot of moms still, but that have a passion, tends to be in the wellness industry for the most part. And I am on a mission to prove, I don't know if it's proof, but I'm on a mission to show wellness-based entrepreneurs that A, it doesn't make you not spiritual to charge. B, you can have a wellness business and make a shit ton of money. And C, you can actually love what you do and do good for others.
Yes. Yeah, you can do it with integrity. And I think it's something that a lot of service entrepreneurs, especially therapists, know a lot of therapists, and they're all the same, but everyone needs help. And what about the people that can't afford it? Super legit, right? Super legit. Also, take Medicaid. That's a thing. Those people can have Medicaid. Or something I actually built into my practice is the ability to see people, a certain percentage of people, at a sliding scale or for free. Now, I don't have very many free because they tend, but I have one that cannot afford it.
Yeah.
And it's built into my cost to be able to do that. So I think so many people get stuck, and I'm sure you see this a lot, and maybe we could talk about that it has to be this or this. I serve everyone and I give it all away and I'm burned out, and I quite literally cannot sustain that because it's not sustainable. Or I'm a horrible, evil, capitalist, Jeff Bezos type. Like there's no in between where it's like you can run a business where it's built into your pricing structure. Yeah. You can have a life where you do both. You do meaningful activities, you volunteer, you donate, you do charity work, and you make good money, and you go on vacation. So like, how does that show up for y'all?
All the time. And I 100% agree with you, Amanda. I always tell people it's your business. Like you get to decide the rules. Like you get to decide if you want to give to someone your services for a reduced rate or even free. And you get to decide if you can have a sliding fee scale if you want. It's your business. You get to decide how you run it, and only you decide that. And it's just a decision. And I think so often we linger in indecision. And indecision, I call the river of misery. And then nothing gets done and you end up serving no one. Right. And like you said, it's like so many people do live in this very all or nothing space, and nothing in life is all or nothing. We're always a little bit of everything. Like you can be a little bit of this and a little bit of this at the same time. It's called cognitive dissonance, and we all experience it all the time. And when we resist it is when it becomes a problem, or when we indulge in one side of it. And that's kind of the magic is, can you learn how to track your own mind so you're not indulging in the pieces that are going to slow you down and keep you from really doing what you love and growing something that can be really magical, that's not just great for you, but really for other people.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about when you say indulging? My brain is translating it as getting stuck. Like, can you give them like if that were a movie, what it looked like? So people are like, well, that's not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I think indulging for me is, let's just use the example of self-doubt.
Sure.
Okay. So this is something that comes up a lot. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. Actually, all of them are entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And self-doubt is something that as an entrepreneur, a lot of us experience. Here's the thing.
Everyone experiences it. Oh yeah.
Here's the thing.
100%.
I think you can have self-doubt and still be moving forward. Now, when I talk about indulging, is people think because they have self-doubt, the only way to move forward is to get rid of it. But the reality is, it's not going to probably go away. Like, here's the thing. You can make $5,000 in your business and have self-doubt. You're in the very beginning stages. You can make $100,000 in your business and you still have self-doubt. Trust me, I've been there. And you can make even more and still have self-doubt. And just because people believe if they make, for example, a certain amount of money or they're doing something for a certain amount of time, that's going to go away. It's going to be there. And how do we hold space for it in a very loving way? And not, when I say indulge in it, not let it stop us or slow us down, because you can have it and you can still go out there, show up, get visible, and take action. What I see happens all the time. A lot of people come to me, right? And they're come to me because they're not being visible using, like, for example, social media. A lot of what I teach is organic marketing using social media. And they're not visible and they're not showing up and they're not consistent. And the reason really underneath it all is the doubt. And the doubt is slowing them down.
And it's keeping them monster.
It's keeping them in what I call confusion amnesia. Like they're thinking, like they're not realizing, they know they're like, they don't necessarily identify it as they're confused, but they are. And then they're forgetting what the whole reason they went into what they're doing. So they're having a little bit of amnesia and they're living in confusion. And I call that, like, that's like the idea of indulgence, right? Is that it's like letting that stuff keep you from taking action. Now, of course, you need to clean that up.
Right.
But the way we clean it up is not necessarily getting rid of it. People think when we say mindset, let's clean up all your limiting beliefs. I don't really believe it's necessarily cleaning them up, getting rid of it. No, when I say cleaning it up, when I say cleaning it, it's learning how to hold space for it. Like, let it be there, and you can even love it, ironically.
Yeah.
You can love it for what it teaches you.
Oh, I love this so much. So I have a few analogies that I use for that, and it shows up in so much more than business, right? I see it so much in women leaving relationships, men,
oh my God, all the time,
that are imbalanced. And it's literally just a comfort zone thing in choosing to get a better job, in making new friends. I can't tell you how many people I work with who are lonely and they say, well, I don't know how to make friends. And I say, the next words that come out of your mouth when you meet someone cool is, hey, do you want to be my friend? And they say, well, won't I look stupid? And I'm like, I don't know. Does it matter? No. Are you going to get a friend out of it? Like,
you might.
It's trying new things. It's going new places. Oh my gosh. It's such a comfort zone thing. And I love that we are landing on this because it's something, it's so sneaky, right? Because you think it's this huge, it's like, new level, same devil, right? Every single time you rise up, every single time you come up to a new level, every single time you grow, it's the same shit. The same words. You're not worthy. You're going to look stupid. People are going to judge you. What will your family think? What will your friends think? It's the same words. It's like the same ice cream in different flavors.
100%.
And people just eat it. They just eat the ice cream and they're like, well, I don't know why I'm eating this ice cream. You never challenged it.
I think that people think that a lot of the time their thoughts are facts. And
talk to us.
Right? And it's like when you think your thoughts are facts, you don't question them. And a lot of it, is shaped. Right. A lot of it is shaped from our upbringing. Yes. But when you learn to actually see your thoughts as just thoughts and optional, they're all optional, right? Really, actually, like so much of what we think are facts are not.
We just made up and decided they were gospel.
They're just story. They're just stories.
Right.
And it's like, you can actually weed it all out. And when you weed it all out, like there's so much possibility, because then all of a sudden, you have control, but you think you have no control.
Right.
And all of a sudden you have so much control.
Right.
And then you get to decide, oh, well, is this a fact?
I don't have to believe that.
No. And when you decide that you don't want to believe what you've been believing forever.
Right.
all of a sudden, there's like so much more space, just to, like you said, and you're then able to be like, oh, right, of course I can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But everything in life we've ever done, if you want to grow, is uncomfortable. Think about it. Like, you don't walk without falling down 1,000 times.
And so being miserable is so much more uncomfortable. So much more.
And people just don't, I think sometimes don't realize even they've gotten comfortable in the misery. The misery becomes their comfort space.
Oh, I love this conversation so much. I could die. Yeah. And like, humans are so adaptable, but sometimes that's part of the problem, is like we adapt so well that we're like, oh, well, this is just our normal. And I'm used to it. And that's such an ego thing too, because your ego, and I tell people all the time, like, your ego doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to spend as little energy as possible to power your meat suit. Guess what spends more energy? Changing your life. And so I always give people two options. And I'm like, we can do acceptance work, and you can accept that this is your life and this is what you choose, and you hate it, and you wake up every day miserable, and you go to bed every day miserable, and you're depressed, and you have too much anxiety, and you hate your life. I said, we can do that work. That's your choice. I said, my life is good because I don't make that choice, but we can do that work. Or we can just change 3, 4, 5 things. It's not even that much, because you do this work. It's not that much. A foundation of skills starts compounding, and then things are good. Like, good. You're not miserable 24/7 anymore.
It's actually like, I always tell my people and anyone who will listen, basically, it's actually tiny little tweaks.
Right.
It's not like it's not like these big, massive things. Right. And our brains make the littlest thing sometimes into the big, huge, like,
in order to keep us back. Right.
Our brains love drama. Think about it. What do we watch on TV? Drama. Our brains love drama. So it's like we have to learn how to catch that drama. So we're not, like we said, indulging in it. Yeah. Because you have a choice.
Right. And I think of those limiting beliefs. I think of them like, there's two analogies that I'm going to use. So like, I think of them like a bowl, right? Your brain, for anyone who doesn't know, if anyone hasn't worked with me in real life, let me break down one of my things. Your brain is much smarter than you. It is much better than you at coming up with excuses. So you cannot out logic your brain. It's not going to happen because everything you come up with, your brain's going to be like, but what about this? But what about this? And then you're going to drown. And that's why I don't use challenging very often. So some coaches will use like, well, challenge your thought and look for evidence. Right. Yeah, that has its place, but it's not the only tool, because if your brain is a bull and you pick up that rope and you start arguing with your brain, now you're playing tug of war with a bull. Guess who's gonna win? Not you. Because a bull weighs 2,000 pounds and can do this all day. And the more you play tug of war with it, the stronger it gets. You just get tired. So I'm like, no wonder you're depressed and anxious. You're fighting your brain 24/7. So I was like, if we don't want to play tug of war with a bull, what do we do? And all of my clients, because they're intelligent, they go, well, you drop the rope. And I'm like, no shit. Like, stop paying attention, just like what you said. And this is bringing it back. You don't have to let those things stop you. You allow them to exist. You let the bull live in the pasture. You just don't pick up the rope to play tug of war with it. You don't engage with it. You just say, hey, bull, you're such a sweet, handsome little bull, but I can't play tug of war today. Like, you just live over there. I'm going to feed you. You just like live your little best bull life, take a nap, whatever. But we can't play tug of war anymore. So we don't kill the bull. You can't get rid of the bull. The bull's with you forever. You just let it live in the pasture next door and go do the things you want to do.
Yeah, 100%. And we can apply this to anything and everything in our lives. And, you know, like you said, it's those excuses are always going to be there.
Always. And because
you
new levels in devil.
Right. You can let them run the show, or you can run the show.
Right. Yeah. One of my colleagues, Brittany, says, who's driving right now? Is it you or your fears or your trauma, your anxiety, your whatever? And I think you're right. Like, and I love that you're teaching it, because I think so many people teach it backwards, and they say, well, you have to get past your fear. You have to get past your fear. You have to master your fear. I'm like, I just want you to ignore it and be like, cool, fear. Thanks. But not today. Today, I'm waking up.
I say that all the time.
Thanks, brain. Not today. Oh, I say that all the time.
Or I'll say, oh, you're so cute. That's so silly.
Yeah. Sometimes I think of those little, if my brain says specific things, I'll say it in Donald Trump's voice. And then I'm like, I would never in life let him speak to me. And I would sure never let him tell me I can't do something. So I'm just like, okay, bro. Okay.
I love that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say, it's like, you know what? I just say it gets to ride in the car with me. It just doesn't get to go come shotgun.
Right. Yeah. Like
it rides in the back seat.
It's like a planter's wart. You're just like, yeah, I guess you're here. Come on. We got things to do.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Too many people are, I think, preaching this like let's eliminate, let's get rid of them. And I just don't think that's realistic. It's
and it sets people up to fail.
Absolutely. Like it's there. And I always say, just friend it. Like, does not do your best friend, but just like, let it be there. Don't make it wrong anymore, because the more, like, I had a teacher, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, who always said, the more you resist, the more it persists. So when you're trying to get rid of something and make it go away, that's like resisting it.
Because you're playing tug of war
allowing it. Exactly.
Right. And the bull's
drop the rope.
Than you.
Yeah, drop the rope.
Right.
I love that. I'm going to use that metaphor.
Clients, thank you. It's very like visceral and visual.
I love it. I love visceral ones.
Yeah. Love them. When you take clients through this journey, like what are some of the things that you've seen? Obviously there's like direct consequences, but what are some of the like not so direct consequences that you see when people start befriending their protective thoughts?
When they start to friend them?
Yeah. What changes?
I mean, there's so much. Their life just starts to. So the biggest thing I think that happens is you start to move more into alignment. So I like to think that
you're so good.
We are energy, yes. Right? As much as some people, it seems like, want to deny it, but we are all energy. And when you allow yourself to have that part of you there and you don't resist it, it gives you permission and space, right? To then also put your focus towards what you want. Yes. And then instead of coming from a place of lack or insufficiency or not enoughness, like when you friend it, it's not like wrong anymore. It's just like, it's almost like it's acceptable that it's there. Yeah, it's just a part of you. So now you're not in wrongness, not enoughness, not lack anymore. And when you're not in lack, that means you're in sufficiency. And when you're sufficiency, that's our I believe, like God, the universe, whatever, our natural way of being for well-being is from a place of sufficiency, not lack. So then you move into alignment. The more you're in alignment, the more you attract what you want back to you. So I'm a big believer in like manifestation, the law of attraction. And I do believe that all that comes from the energy that it's like, we all have like a perfume, like that we radiate.
Yes.
And that perfume is like our vibration. And when you're radiating the right, not say the right, but when you're radiating from
an aligned frequency,
right? An aligned fragrance for you, you attract that right people, things, situations back to you. Now, when you're out of alignment, you attract things that are also out of alignment with what you want. So basically, when you do this work, you get into energetic alignment, and the more energetic alignment you're in, the more you are able to claim everything you want in your life, whether, that is, a relationship with someone, or if that is a new business opportunity or friendships, whatever it is, it starts with you.
Yes.
In all of these situations. And you have to be in alignment in order to attract what you want.
Yes. Yeah. The way that and I want to get into a couple specific examples because I find that people who are not in alignment really struggle to grasp that and to understand how it's like you change one thing and it's a spider web. All these other things change. And I always tell clients, it's like the universe is waiting for you. And she's like holding her breath and she's like, get there, get there, get there. Like when you have kids, right? If they do sports and you're just like, you're like holding their breath for the finish line.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just like, yes, hit it, hit it, hit it. And then you hit it, right? They do it. They do the thing. They've been working so hard. They've been practicing. They level up. They do the thing. And it's like the universe exhales and like everything is already on its way, but it's like paused until you're ready. And so now it's like a conveyor belt just starts moving. And it's like all these things are on their way to you. And I'll give an example of one that my boyfriend David has seen. So he has gone from very employee mindset to starting his own business, not just wanting to, he's doing the things. And we had a lot of conversations about, if you say you're going to do the work, do the work. Don't say you're going to do it and then not do it. Like, don't do that. But so he started doing the work, and I'll tell you the serendipity things, and they're not serendipity, right? We know it's because he leveled up, he realigned, he's doing what he says he's going to do. He's clearing out the BS. And so everything is coming to him, and people have shown up. People have shared knowledge. Like, he was so worried about getting financing. The financing showed up. Like, it is wild. And people, I feel like people don't believe it until they experience it, but I'm just like,
I agree.
It's so predictable if you do the work and you work with people through this journey. So what are some of the things that you have seen? Oh
my God.
Clients like be gifted, because it all is a gift. Like, you either get a shit burger or you get what you deserve, but it depends on the work that you're doing.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Outside
And
of abuse. No one deserves abuse. So caveat for that.
Yeah.
But
Right. I agree. And I think it's interesting because I do think things do show up. And I do think, like you said, people think it's like they have a really hard time grasping this because they don't understand it.
And they've never
and
seen
I do think it's hard to understand until you experience it.
Yep.
Like they might want to, but it's just too far out there.
And I think it's easy. This is an interesting phenomenon I experience. Sometimes I'll have a lot of resistance from clients if the gap between their suffering and where I am is a little big. They will say like, well, you're just happy all the time, or well, no one,
you don't understand.
You don't get it. Right. And I'm like, let's talk about that dismissal, because it's easy to say, well, those people have it easy. Well, things just happen for them. Not that like structural thing, right? Like not that systemic barriers don't exist, because they do.
Yeah.
And it's easy to dismiss someone who puts themselves in the right place at the right time, someone who does the work, someone who chases opportunities. And so opportunities, I quote unquote, show up for them, and to just say, well, they're lucky. Well, they have XYZ. Well, it's easier for them because then you're absolved. You get to be a victim and you don't have to do the work.
Yeah. And people come to me in that space a lot too. It is a filter I now have. When someone like reaches out and wants to work with me, I'm like, I don't work with people who are in victim mindset.
Right.
Like that's just I can't do that, because there will always then be something that you're like, almost like you are holding yourself back.
Right.
And I want you to do that work because it's really essential that you see that you have control over your life. But when, you're not in that place of victim mentality and you realize that you are the creator, the controller of your life, your destiny, basically, there's so much available. I mean, I've seen people who do this work and, they come and they just like even have an idea. Like, right, I want to start, maybe they had their own transformation. Like they did some coaching. I've had several clients. I think we talked about this when we were chatting before, that came and we worked together when I was doing more general coaching. And then they had such a profound shift from doing the work. Like their confidence grew, or they lost weight, or they improved a relationship that then they want to then help other people.
Yeah.
And they want to then do the same thing.
Yep.
And it's so fun. And it's like, that is the coolest part, is that you take these people, they've got this now passion inside of them, and you help them now help other people who have maybe gone through, I always say you are your first client. So most often you're going to be attracted to working with people that have gone through an experience that you've gone through in some way, form, or fashion in your life. So it's like when you do this work and then you do this work with yourself and your business, like you just see the amount of confidence that you can radiate is just such a beautiful thing.
And it's magnetizing. People are drawn to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch people. Like I've seen people start from nothing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden have like their own business that they feel like this immense pride for. And now they're like, I mean, I got clients who are now able to like support themselves. And before, like they weren't able to do that. And like, let's be honest, our world does revolve around money.
Right.
So
living is expensive.
You need it.
Right.
You need it to live, to thrive. And to be able to have that, and especially for women, I'm mostly with women, to have that, and then also to be able to have that and then show your children that you created that. It's just such a wonderful, it's such a beautiful thing to just be able to hold that space for yourself.
Yep.
Right.
And it's such a permission slip.
It's just such a
permission slip.
It is a permission slip. It's so fun.
It is so fun. Like I just love what we do. It's the best.
I love like when someone comes to me and they're like, I've got this idea and this idea, this idea. And then we hone it in and we like massage it. And then we put it out in the world.
Right.
And it's like their unique thing.
Yeah.
So fun.
Now, you mentioned something that I want to touch on too is like taking accountability, which is the opposite of a victim mindset, right? David and I were having this conversation the other day, and God bless him for the conversations that we have sometimes, because it was harsh, right? Like, I'm not someone who holds. I'm not, it's not my strength.
I'm not either. I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, this, I love you, but this is the way my brain words it. And we were talking about accountability and, changing his life. And he's wanted to do something else for a long time, but never took accountability for it. Right. And I said, for the last 9 years, what have you been doing? Which is harsh, right? And I was like, I love you so much. Please don't go.
I love you.
Don't break up with me. But I was like, I said, you're not where you want to be because you haven't done the work. Like, really, what have you done for the last 9, 10, for the last decade? What have you done? So you don't have the life you want because you haven't worked for it. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, well, fuck. That's true. And I was like, okay, now that we know, let's change it, right? Let's not indulge, to use your language. Let's not indulge in that. Let's not stay there. Let's say, you know what? That's true. I don't have the life that I want. And that gap can be motivation. So one of the biggest things that I think is so life-changing is not only not playing tug of war with a bull, not only having space and allowing space for those protective thoughts and behaviors to exist, but to take full accountability for the things you have not done. You have 100%. Chosen not to do when you have been a coward. And that is, some people are going to turn this podcast off and be like, I feel attacked.
Yeah. Well, but if you feel attacked right now, it's only because it's true.
And also we love you. And you don't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're feeling attacked right now, it's just like, that's the time actually to tune in more and to really start to question, lean into that and ask some questions. Ask yourself some really powerful questions. Like, well, like what? Why am I feeling triggered? Like, it's because you're a part of your brain is thinking that someone is saying something directly about you, which may or may not be true. But if you feel that intensity, that's something to look at.
Let's assess. Right. And so much of this is assessment. And I think that's a skill a lot of people lack too, is the ability to look at those responses with curiosity instead of with a baseball bat. Like, you don't want to beat them up. You want to say, oh, where is this coming from? Where is this true for me? Because something I see often too is it's not true in every aspect of their life. Maybe they like their job, but their relationship is out of alignment. Or they love their relationship, but their job or their family dynamics are out of alignment. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, like your whole life is shit. It could just be, hey, what aspect have I really chosen to run away from instead of fixing? Mm-hmm. So what are some other questions people would ask to figure out where the misalignment is?
Yeah, like, I mean, one of my favorite questions is why?
Love it.
Like, well,
so true.
Let me just, like, why? Like, here's the thing is I always, like, here's how you know you're out of, first off, sometimes people are like, well, how do I even know if I'm out of alignment?
Good point. How do they know?
Right? How do you know? If you feel like shit, you're out of alignment, because our natural way of well-being is to feel good.
Can you repeat that? Because it's so simple.
If you feel like shit, you are out of alignment. It's that simple. This is not complicated. Like, people like want to like, oh, alignment, energy. Oh, they're talking way over my head. No, let's make this super simple. If you're not feeling good consistently, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling confused,
heavy,
anxious, you are out of alignment. If you feel like life is kind of just flowing, I'm not saying you feel happy all the time, because I'm not one of those positive all the time people. I do believe life is 50-50. That's not realistic. Now, I think there are times when it's appropriate to feel sad. Someone passes, you're not going to feel happy. The goal in life, in my opinion, is not to be happy all the time, is to feel all the human emotions. Yes. But if you would say that 75% of the time you feel heavy, you feel exhausted all the time,
out of alignment.
You feel right, you're out of alignment. So and true. That's when we want to start to ask ourselves the questions of, okay, right now, if this is identifying, if it's resonating, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm out of alignment. Then you want to ask yourself, okay, what have I not taken responsibility for? What is there something I want to do in my life that I'm not? And what am I afraid of, really? Because a lot of the time when you're out of alignment, it's coming from that fear. Fear is what drives most of our life, right? Like, so we do everything in life because of emotion. We want to feel a certain way.
Right.
And most of us, our brain's job is to keep us safe. Right. And if the brain thinks you're not going to be safe, then it's afraid. But what a lot of us haven't caught up with evolution is that we're not being chased, most of us. Of course, if you live in the forest right now and you're listening to this, maybe you're being chased by a bear. But most of us are not being chased by lions and tigers and bears. And for the most part, you are safe. Right. So you want to question, what am I really afraid of? Yeah. Like, what is really underneath this? What's behind this? What am I? And you, most of the time, it's three things. It's fear of failure, fear that you're going to make a fool of yourself. Right? What other people are going to think, like you mentioned, right? And that's, again, a very primitive instinct, is that we need to feel like we always belong. Right. Because if we were in primitive time, if we were cave women in the cave still, and you walked out of the cave and you didn't have your tribes back, you died. Right. That's not the case. That's not the case anymore. People are going to like you. People are not going to like you. That's okay. Right? People are going to be your people. Some people aren't going to be your people. Let's be honest. I always tell my clients, do you like everyone? No. So why do you expect everyone to like you? Actually, if people don't like you, especially in business, that means you're doing things right. You want haters. If you don't have haters, then you're playing.
You're not taking a stand.
No, you're not taking a stand. If you don't take a stand, good luck, because you're going to just swim in the sea of fishes out there. Right. You've got to step out. You got to step aside. You got to be bold. You have to be a little bit courageous. Yeah. And if you're in that stuck, heavy, anxious feeling, you're out of alignment, and you just start to ask yourself questions. I'd say why. Ask yourself, why did that? Ask yourself, why did that? Just keep asking yourself why. Or so what? So what? Or what are you making it mean right now?
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, like, say, for example, you're feeling confused. Okay. Ask yourself why, and say, oh, well, I don't know if I should go this direction, like stay at my 9 to 5, or take that risk and start my business. Okay. Sure. Okay. So first ask yourself, okay, what are you afraid of? Well, what if I fail, and what if I fail and it doesn't work, and then I end up in a box living on the street?
Legit. We get it.
Legit. Right? Okay. So what? Okay. Live in our box on the street. So what?
Or
let's be honest. Is that wait, hold on.
Right.
Or
is it realistic?
Is it realistic? Probably not. And then you get yourself grounded and you're like, okay, that's probably not going to happen. I can always go back and get a 9 to 5 job. Right. Okay, so then ask yourself, well, what am I making it mean if I fail? What are you making it mean about you? Because that is the secret sauce. Whatever you're making something mean is that underlying thought. And that thought is driving what you feel, which drives everything that you do. And I can guarantee you that thought is showing up in your result line.
And it's showing up. It's so sneaky.
Is your results.
It's so sneaky. And I have so many people. I was literally just talking to a client about this yesterday. I have so many people who will self-protect to the point of self-sabotage.
Yes.
That they prove themselves right. Yeah. If you don't think your business will succeed, if you don't think you're worthy of success, if you think everyone who owns a business is a dirty capitalist, if you think you're not worthy of love, if you think you're going to die alone, you will prove yourself.
You'll create it. You will create it.
That always. You will ruin your life. Always. I have people that do it, and I'm just like, you did this. Like you chose.
It's so interesting. Yeah. I always tell people, if you're not sure, another way to see if you're out of alignment is look at your result line. What are the results you have in your life? If they're not what you want,
you're out of alignment.
You're out of alignment, which comes back to your energy, which your energy is made up of what you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah. So and sometimes, go ahead.
And so, it's like, look at what's in your result line, because your results are, like you just said, directly affected by what you're thinking. I see this all the time in business. Like, people want a business, they start a business, they even get certified, they do all the things they need to do And then the fear of, am I going to be good enough? Right. It keeps them from ever getting started. And guess what happens? Your fear comes true.
Getting certifications.
Because you basically, oh my God, I've got a client like that. But basically you are creating your reality. And
right. You're proving yourself right.
That's what you always do. Yeah. You will prove yourself right. Now you can prove yourself right for what you want or what you don't want. It's up to you.
Right. And it's like clients who say, well, nobody's trustworthy, and they choose untrustworthy partners. Okay. Well,
of course.
If I say, oh, I only ever get burned when I go in the sun, but then I stay in the sun for 9 hours every time I'm outside. Well, guess what? You're right. Like, yeah. Oh my God. So one of the tricks for that I want to tell people that I use that is helpful is, especially with fear-based things, I ask myself, what's the worst thing that could happen?
I do the same thing. I tell them to go to the most ridiculous.
And then I say, okay, can you accept that? And then I go, well, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So every fucking other thing I can deal with. Like, right. I'm going to come back to David again. He's just all over this podcast today. He laughs at it. Not that he listens to them. Rude. But it's
Have you ever interviewed him?
I really should.
Oh my God, I interviewed my husband once. It's super fun.
I think he made me like, I hate you. But I'm not going to prove that right. We're interviewing him. So he was like, well, what happens if I fail? And I said, well, you're going to owe a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Get a job. You have a job now. Pay it back. Or I was like, the worst thing that happens is you sell the property.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. And he was like, well, that's not so bad. And I was like, I know. It's fine. Like, you're going to owe someone money. Okay.
I love that you brought that up.
Yeah. But people never think of the best thing that happens either.
No. Right.
Ever. You're like, well, what's the best thing that happens? And they're just like, herp derp. I don't know. I never thought about it. And I'm like, bro, you're playing tug of war with the wrong bull.
Go that way, not that way.
Right. Don't go to the bull that wants to play tug of war. Go to the bull that's like, I don't
just
know,
chilling out,
partying on a beach with a margarita. Like, I don't know, whatever the other bull is doing, go towards that one. Like, go with the margarita bull, not the one that's like, what's the worst thing? And then that's all you focus on versus like, well, what happens if it succeeds? And people are just like, oh, that's so simple. And I'm like, everything is simple.
It really is.
Not easy.
It's like, what do you want to feed?
Right.
So whatever you feed is what's going to grow and thrive. So you can feed your worries, or you can feed the possibility.
And you can practice that, right? You can practice worry. You're going to get
every day
so good at it. But like, does it help?
No. It does.
It doesn't. Does not help. Like, does it help to worry 24/7?
No. But it does help. Like, I love this metaphor. I tell people all the time. Like, I actually was meeting a client this morning at a coffee shop. You go to the coffee shop, right? And you just stand there and you're like, serve me. And so they give you like, I don't know, a latte with, for me, a whole milk latte. That would like tear my stomach apart. Okay. Or you go to the counter, which is what most of us do, and say, I want an almond milk latte. And you get what you like and you go sit down. Most people wake up every morning and they don't tell their brain what to think. They don't serve up thoughts. So instead they let their brain serve them up like a tuna Pop-Tart for breakfast. I mean, that sounds really delicious, right? And instead of waking up,
I had for breakfast this morning, actually.
Right. Me too. I'm just kidding. Instead of waking up and having like your coffee, your latte, and maybe like, I don't know, like a banana, a fruit cup. I don't know.
Whatever you actually like whatever. Right. You get a shit burger because that's what life hands you because you didn't specify what you wanted.
Yes, you have to. I have a thing that I don't make. I encourage all my clients to do, and it's part of my morning routine. It's called thoughts on purpose. What do you want to think for the day? How do you want to direct your brain? Take some power back. Take some control. Your default brain is going to serve up the shit burger.
Right.
Do you want the shit burger or do you want the chocolate cake? I want the chocolate cake. So
it's so true. And I think it's like, literally when I tell clients that, I'm just like, well, you don't have to pay attention to that. It's like, no, I watch their face and their brain explodes. So like for everyone listening, let me just explode your brain for a hot second. Let us explode your brain. Like you don't have to put your attention on your thoughts. You can literally move your attention. You can't control your thoughts.
That's simple.
Here's the other thing people get wrong is they'll teach you to control your thoughts.
No.
That is not real. You can control your attention. You can be like, yeah, cool. Thanks, friend. Right. Like when I first started getting on camera for this stuff, I was like, girl, you look some type of way. Like still cute, but like never really thought I was photogenic. Right. But I made it up. I decided it was true. But had I been like, oh my God, I'm not photogenic, like I would never.
You would have never shown up again.
I would have never shown up again. But I was like, cool, thanks, Brand. Like, I'm just going to look like a walrus while I do it. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then it's like, when you get this habit of being like, cool, thanks, who cares? Then it's so easy to like release. You can just be like, yeah, who cares? All right. Yeah. Yeah. I look stupid on camera. Who cares? Yeah. My voice sounds like a little mouse on a podcast. Who cares? Like whatever. And then you can be like, oh, what do I actually care about? Let me walk towards those things. And I think so many people just like drift by on this sea of life. And they're just like, I don't have the life I want. And it's like, bitch, steer your boat.
Yeah. I actually did a podcast on mine. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, called Pivoting. It's all kind of about this. It's about how like you can just in a moment pause,
right?
Notice it, observe it, don't shit on it. And then I always say when you should on yourself, you're shitting on yourself. So just allow it and then pivot.
Yeah. Like, I don't really like this.
What else is possible? Yeah, you can entertain that or you could entertain this.
Right. Such a good question.
It's not really complicated.
Yeah, I think it's really a crisis. And I used to do this when I was a kid too. And it would really freak people out because I was always like this. So imagine like this as like a 12-year-old.
I cannot.
No, some adults really hated me. That's fine. Whatever.
Well, they probably thought you were like,
they were like
too much for your.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got called obnoxious all the time when I was young. But really, like I would talk to people because one of my favorite things is to talk to people about what they love. And I would say, what do you want? What do you want to do? And they would say these things, and I say, why aren't you doing them? Mm-hmm. That's a harsh reality, right? But most people don't ask themselves, like, why aren't you doing them? And then they're like, oh, and then they get into the shoulds and I should do this or I should do that. And what would my family
Stop shitting on yourself.
And it's all the same crap. And it's like, why aren't you, there's our why again, right? Why aren't you doing them? Do you not know how? Do you need to learn something in order to do that? Okay, hire a coach, right? That's literally why we exist. Do you need
find someone for some guidance?
Right. And it's just so true. Like, and there's a gap, right? And we don't want to beat ourselves up for the gap. Like we don't know what we don't know, and that's totally fine. But if there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be, yes, it's harder for some people. Yes, systemic barriers exist. That doesn't mean it's impossible. And a good coach and a good therapist, by the way, which but I want other people to know, will take those into consideration because it's very disempowering. And this is not what we're saying, but it's very disempowering to say like, well, you can do anything you set your mind to. No, you can't, but you can get as close as you can.
And I always say though, if you really do you really desire it? Because I don't believe you can do anything you put your mind to, but I do believe if you really truly desire something, I think for the most part, of course, I'm sure there's the outliers that can disprove this, but for the most part, you can accomplish it. So here's the thing is like, I'm 5'2".
Yeah.
15 pounds. I'm not going to play for the NBA.
Right.
But I also don't have a desire to play for the NBA. So like check in, is it really your desire? Because sometimes I think it's not even our desire. It's a desire that's been put on us by someone else or that we adopted. But like if you get honest with yourself and you tap in and you actually get quiet, I'm a big fan of meditation, and you start to actually listen to yourself, your true desires, I do believe for the most part, we have 100% capacity to make happen.
I love that. Because that's actually different than what I was saying. And that's a shift. And
I don't know, like maybe there's a desire someone does have to play for the NBA and that's just not a possibility. But then like you said, maybe there's something just what for you.
Right. And sometimes it's an acceptance thing. Like, not everything we want, quote unquote, is achievable, but can we get as close as we can? And then it's an acceptance game. Like, okay, this is still your best life. This is still what you want in a more broad sense. You can play basketball, you can coach, you can.
And can you love what you do have instead of always just loving what you don't, instead of putting all your focus on what you don't have.
Love it. It's such a focus game. Like so many people
such a focus game
focus on the wrong things. And so then they're miserable. Like something I have done for a long time and have mostly because I just have no patience for it is I just don't complain and I don't hang out with people who complain because I'm just like,
I'm with you on that one.
Like, shut up, do something or be quiet. And like,
my dad used to always say shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. And it's like, if you're not going to do anything, practice acceptance or work on changing it. And not everyone can change things overnight, right? Like, it's not like you can just quit your job tomorrow and like everything magically falls into place. Like sometimes you have to bide time.
But what's one baby step?
Yes.
That's going to take you in the direction towards at least, like, I think life is like just a journey. So we're just 100%. Constantly taking baby steps. And like, whether you ever get to that place, maybe that's not actually what the point is. Maybe it's all the stuff that you get to experience on the way. Yeah. And that's just enjoying that and the ups and the downs and everything that comes with it.
Yeah. It really, it's such a, when you say like the goal of life is to spend most of your time, like you're not happy, you're not sad, you're kind of everything. I really find, and I wonder if you see this too, that people who do this work actually spend so much more time in being content. Like that becomes their new normal. They're not super great, but really they sit and like, okay, things are good. Things are good.
I think that's a really good point, Amanda. I think they're more content, but I think the cool part is you do get like experiences of that, like just total awesomeness.
Yes.
And of course you have moments of those super low points.
Yes, 100%.
But it's just like you're not living in those super low points. And when you have those super amazing points, like you appreciate them and you just like savor them more. But I think there's this level of just like, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of just letting life kind of be in that place of contentment.
Yeah. And I think that's such a resistance thing. Like when you stop resisting, life can be good.
Yeah.
And that's such an alignment piece. Like you're so right. When you start doing this work and you start weeding out the things that cause you to be in misalignment, when you start saying, oh, actually, those are me causing myself to be in misalignment.
Right.
It really is like, and it's pretty wild to watch. And I always call attention to it with my clients because their energy shifts sometimes between sessions and they'll come and I'm just like, your energy is so different. Like I can feel it off of them.
Yes.
It is
their whole demeanor, the way they,
everything
like
is
everything.
And I'm just like, okay, now we're working on firing me.
Yes.
That's when I know we're kind of like,
I love it.
Well, that's the goal, right? And like, the goal is that you fire me. You don't need the same person.
You don't want me for life.
Right. I'm like, we can, you can follow me on Instagram. It's fine. But
you're
like
always evolving. And I think that's like the piece of it is like,
is finding new people at different levels. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just like so good.
So fun.
How do people find you? If they're like, oh my God, she's so dope. How do people find you?
Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, all the places. I'm Rachel B. Friedman.
Can you spell it?
Rachel, RachelBFriedman, just my name. On Instagram and on Facebook, it is I don't even know. I think it's Rachel. I think it's an old thing called Rachel. Maybe? I think it's Rachel Beth Coaching. That's my business. I'm not sure exactly what, honestly, the URL thing says. Okay. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I should know. Always, you can find me on my website, Rachel Beth Coaching. I've got a podcast too. You can check it out called The Wellness Boss. And Amanda is actually going to be on mine too. I think it actually airs next week. So you can come listen to her and I chat there too.
Yeah, y'all, her stuff is so good. For everyone who has listened and they're just like, holy shnikes, holy cheese balls. Like,
these so ladies are amazing. No.
Amazing. What do you want people to be left with? Like, if they're like, if they have amnesia on everything we said, like, what do you want them to remember?
I love that question. I want them to remember that they have 100% choice in everything in their life, meaning you get to choose how you look at things. So, for example, people will tell me all the time, well, I have to feed my kids. No, you don't. You choose to feed your kids. There's consequences if you don't. Right. I recommend you choose it. Look at everything in your life as a choice, and your life will feel so much better.
I love that. And if you're choosing things that you hate, you can make a different choice.
Yeah, why? And everyone, I believe, whether you talk to me, you talk to Amanda, everyone should have someone in their corner.
Yes, 100%.
I will always have someone, and I just can't imagine not. Whatever you want to work on in your life. I think that's part of our life, is to always be evolving. Have someone in your corner.
I love it. I love it. Okay, tell us one more time where to find you so that people remember that.
Instagram, Rachel B. Friedman. Facebook, Amanda's going to put it in the show notes since I'm not exactly sure. I think it's Rachel Goldberg Friedman. It's my something like that, old last name. We'll find it. Website, Rachel Beth Coaching.
Love
Rachel Beth Coaching, no A, just EL. And I try to keep things simple. Podcast, Wellness Boss.
Love it. Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always such a pleasure. So fun talking with you.
This was so good. Okay, y'all, have a good day. Go make aligned choices.
Yes.
We love.